should come and call the meeting to order.
And my family. Yes, sir.
You want what? You want what? Okay, we go ahead. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council, and the general public. This is the roll call for the March 26, 2024 work session of the City of South Fulton City Council. The Honorable Catherine F. Rao, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3. Present. The Honorable J.C. Sebastian, District 4.
Present.
The Honorable Keosha B. Bell, District 5.
Present.
The Honorable Natasha Williams Brown, District 6.
Present.
And the Honorable Linda B. Pritchett, District 7.
Here.
And the Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are back here at the beautiful Southwest Arts Center at 915 New Hope Road, 30331. We have an exciting meeting planned for all of you. I've got a couple of surprises for my colleagues on council that I think you will enjoy. And we're going to go ahead and get started now. So, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
First item on this evening's agenda is a presentation and discussion, traffic calming legislation, Department of Public Works.
As Mr. Valenzuela comes, I want to thank him and our city manager, Ms. Subadan, for working very diligently. We have been talking about this for months. So we are excited to see the changes that are being proposed to make obtaining traffic calming measures throughout our neighborhoods that much easier.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Manager Sudan, and the residents of the City of South Fulton. Antonio Valenzuela, Public Works Director for the city. Tonight, I'm here to present to you different findings that we've done throughout the metro cities for the traffic calming program that currently we have for the City of South Fulton. What we have concentrated is to ensure that our residents are able to put their applications in a quicker format and make it easy for them, and also looking at other cities around the metro, as I stated before. But Corey, if you don't mind, please go into the first part of the presentation. We put this presentation in two parts. The first part is petitions. On the left-hand side, you are going to be able to see the existing conditions, and on the right-hand side is the proposed conditions. Under the existing conditions, petitions are required to be done in 2 steps. Petition 1, that's under Section 3A, is the initial interest petition, which calls for a 75% of real property owners or rental occupants on the residential must be in favor of an initial petition. Step 2 is that the 80% of the owners in the neighborhood and 90% of the property owners along the affected road are in support for installation of traffic calming devices. That's also listed under Section 10F. If we go back into the right side, before I jump into the application format, is what we're proposing to you for your consideration is to, when you look at the petition's requirements, to make it one petition. Instead of having 75% and subsequent petition of 80% and 90%, we're recommending that the petition should be at 50% plus 1 of the property owners or renters in favor to initiate a traffic study and then authorize installation of traffic calming measures if warranted. When it comes to the application formats, we have it's a divided request that we receive. Some we still want to have it on Adobe PDF, some want to have it mailed to them, and some want to have it online. So we, at Public Works, we are flexible, and we have provided on those three modes of information. So currently, under the existing conditions, is paper copy and Adobe format. And the applications going forward, if this gets approved, we'll do an online format, but still make it available in Adobe and hard copies. What will do these changes under the petitions if this gets approved going forward? Well, we've assessed what we received before, and out of 20 applications received to date, 6 were approved and 14 were denied prior. If we move with the 50% plus 1, the application will change of about an increase of about, I believe I calculated at 60% of what we had before. So out of the 20 applications, 9 will be approved, and others will be reconsidered for submittals to meet the 50% plus 1, because originally they didn't meet the submittal application. Subsequently, we didn't proceed with traffic studies and so on. So there will be a substantial increase from the existing ordinance. Corey, please, next page. The second part of the presentation is we want to look into the traffic study. Absolutely, we want to recommend that our city maintains all the traffic engineering that we must do. We don't want to proceed without doing engineering work, without having traffic engineers providing all the supported documentation for anything that includes a road modification or changes on traffic patterns that we have throughout the city. The existing condition says that it is the standard 85 percentile speed plus an 11 miles per hour or greater. Under those conditions before, the applications will be considered if the warrants have met after doing a traffic study. Meaning that if vehicles were driving over 36 miles per hour. The recommendation is to change this, the speed, the above speed posted speed limit. So you still maintain the 85 percentile speed, but you lower it from 11 miles to 5 miles per hour or greater than the posted speed limit. In other words, that vehicles going at 30 miles per hour will qualify for a traffic study, and then subsequently we'll go to the next steps. So those standards are listed in section 7B, 1 and 2 for speed standards. We're not recommending changing anything under the daily trips generated by affected areas that exceeds by 25% or more. Those are the standards that we believe we should maintain for the city. Next page, please. The results on the existing 9 studies received to date, 2 studies warrant traffic calming measures, 1 unwarranted, and next counts are, and we're recommending that the counts, if a study is not warranted, that the next counts, the next traffic count should be done a year after. With, if we adopt the proposed recommendations, the anticipated results are 6 studies will warrant traffic calming measures, 60% increase rate. If unwarranted, a new petition can be submitted a year after and the study is recommended. Next page, please. When it comes to cost, currently the HOAs are supposed to subsidize the cost for speed table installations. What we've seen it before, it's about $6,000 per location, but that budget can change as well. We don't have much control on the cost, but we're always looking for competitive bids and hoping to get the best numbers for the city. And the installation, under the current conditions, is 3 months after the HOA has approved and agreed to install specific types of traffic control devices. Under the proposed, there's no change because the cost is about the same. And the installation, upon completion of the concept plan, will be also within 3 months. We absolutely still want to be able to discuss with the HOAs what we're proposing and ensuring that any installation on the roads, they are in full agreement of what we want to do. Next page, please. And that is the end of the presentation. Should you have any questions, I'll be glad to provide any input.
The chair recognizes District 2 Councilwoman Gums.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this. I definitely appreciate you bringing some, I guess, revisions around this to kind of help. But I do have a few questions. So I believe it's on the first slide, if you could put that back up, in regards to the renters. So this kind of gives me just a little bit of pause. And I know that we lowered the threshold, but we're asking renters to make decisions on base of the property owners, right? That's a cause for concern. And for me, I'm trying to figure out how do we navigate through that. Certainly if it is an absent property owner, or if there is a non-respondent property owner, do we give them a certain amount of time before renters can weigh in, or like, is it a 10-day clause or something? Because, I just feel a little uncomfortable for that, to allow, a renter that is in a contract with a property owner per se, if they're not a squatter, to be making decisions on their behalf. Have we gave any thought around that?
You ask a really good question, but the actual ordinance, that's what it calls. We're not recommended to make any changes or so on, but you are absolutely right, because you don't want renters to make a decision for property owners, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that I think it should be brought up for further discussion, and then we can go from there. But okay, that's what the current ordinance calls for it.
Okay. And also too, I believe it was in the next slide for the HOA. So are we saying that the HOAs would not be responsible for any installation costs, and that the city would take ownership of those costs? Is that what we're proposing in that particular slide?
Yes, ma'am. Since the funding is available now to the traffic school zones funding, so those funds will be utilized for this, for traffic calming.
And no knock on the HOAs, but are we because there are a lot of traffic calming needs within the city, have we thought about exactly how we will be prioritizing those and getting those done in regards to that? And do we have the funding? I know we have funding, but do we have funding available for those type of, all of those initiatives?
Yes, we do, and then I think our recommendation should be that first come, first serve. And there are multiple subdivisions that they want to have traffic calming, but honestly, there are some that they believe that there's speeding on their subdivisions, but we've done traffic studies, and they do not meet the warrants. So those studies will be shared with them, and then we'll be able to, if it doesn't meet, just provide to them all the technical information, and then move on to the next application that we have.
And
there are some that I'm sorry to cut you off, there are some that are more proactive than others. So others just submit, then we have to stay behind them for them to provide us updates on their applications and so on. Sometimes the presidents of the HOS provide the submittals, and then they change presidents, and things go in different directions.
And lastly, I think when we went through this exercise before, it was a capacity issue as far as having enough staff, because I'm I'm assuming once this goes live, that there will be a number of people actually applying to get assistance as far as traffic calming. Do we have the staff so we won't be able to have backlogs the way that we did before? Will this be in-house or are we contracting out? Can you share some thoughts around that as well?
If we, well, going forward, actually, like a year ago, traffic engineering has been done through our consultants, but we have a full-time traffic engineering. So we're not necessarily outsourcing that side. We're paying as an outsource, but it is working with us. We don't have it as a part-time. We have it as a full-time engineer. The parts that we'll be paying for it will be the traffic counts. We'll be paying for traffic counts as well as for the installation that will be the speed tables and anything done for striping and signage that's needed. I think it's much better to put a full package when you're going to request and approve traffic calming. You know, encompasses paving, encompasses traffic signs, stripings. So there are different steps that needs to be done.
And did you say that the process will take about 3 months from start to decision making?
It will be after the approval, after the presentation and having an agreement with the HOA. It will take us about 3 months.
3 months to install.
To install, yes.
All right, thank you. That concludes my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the chair recognizes District 1 Councilman Dr. Rao.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation, Mr. Valenzuela. And looking in your presentation, it said that if we looked at what we already had on hand, we would have 3 more approvals for petitions and 4 more approvals for traffic speed analysis. Is it your recommendation for those who have already been in the queue that we just move forward on those if we know they would meet it under this new criteria?
I think it's something that, you know, HOA's change management. They have different people move in, move out, different presidents and associations. Will definitely recommend that we go back to them and request from them an update on who is representing now that particular HOA. And then if that's the case, we should be able to move on faster on that particular direction.
Let me just say this. I think we should reconsider that because we have had many neighborhoods who have been advocating to address their speed issues in their communities for some time. And I would just hate for them to have to restart start all over again. At least the ones that have submitted that would meet the threshold.
Right. We will not start all over.
Okay.
We will just ensure that that the primary point of contact is the right person, the right president of the HOA and so on. So we have a proper communication with whoever might be in as a president.
Okay. Well, I'm okay if we look back at least the last couple years and not make them restart this process over again. I'm good with that. And then I have another question. You said about 6,000 per table. That's the the estimated expense. That's the speed cushion. I'm assuming you're talking about.
Right.
If that's
the
what we're
speed
going
table. Yes.
Per
location.
Per location, and since we all have money earmarked per district for pedestrian safety, it should probably, like you said, cover all of the ones that are currently in the queue.
Yes, you should.
Okay, then I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
The chair recognizes District 4 Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Antonio, thank you to you and your team and to our city manager for putting some attention and some work towards this. I do have a couple of questions. I don't think they were asked before, so I hope not. A lot of time when the criteria, the threshold have to be met, I would get the questions, is that 50% of the neighborhood or 50% of my street? And I think it was the street, but in this presentation it's not quite clear. Can you confirm?
It will be 50% of the subdivision.
Of the subdivision?
Right. In the past, you have 2. You have 1 for the in the subdivision, 75%, and then you have the 80 and 90% under the impacted roads. Now we're asking that instead of having 2, you have 1.
Madam City Manager, need to chime in here.
Yeah, we went through this. Is my microphone on? You can hear me. It is the street.
Okay.
It is the residents on the street, not the entire subdivision. And we
Okay.
will make that clear. And also to the earlier question, anything that is in the queue would obviously get priority. Those things that the work has already been done, they will be prioritized.
Okay, thank you. And do we have a plan to deal with like roads that are long? For instance, if I think about Cedar Grove Road, it's an extremely long road and it goes through several areas that look slightly different. How would we handle a road like that if, say, the people between Rivertown Road and South Fulton Parkway need some traffic calming, or versus all the way on the other side where it started going to Chad Hills?
So that's why we'll be working with the HOA presidents, and then we'll have to deal with each subdivision. And they are the ones that actually inform staff, these are the roads that we want you to look at. They don't necessarily ask for the entire subdivision. It's generally the entrance, the main roads to the subdivisions where we receive to be assessed for traffic calming.
So for Cedar Grove Road, you would be working with the HOA leaders rather than just residents who live off Cedar Grove Road?
Right, that's correct. Because they will be the ones initiating the petition, and they are the ones that will be informing us what roads do we need to do traffic counts.
I think we should rethink that, but that's just my opinion. For those that were denied, it looks like just over 50% were accepted. Have you seen a pattern in the reason why some have been denied? To say, is it an education thing to the public, or do they not understand how to do the application?
I believe it's about a couple of things. In some instances, they put the application and then they never follow through with us. And in other instances, they were not able to meet the initial petition, the 75% petition.
Okay. So did it skew either way, or I know I'm asking you to remember details, so don't feel pressure that you
No,
have the answer.
I'm good.
Yeah, okay. But anyhow, I'm just saying, if we look at the denials and figure if it's an education piece, so we can deal with it accordingly. That's just why I'm asking that question. For the studies that were done, are there any areas that we're thinking that the speed limit needs to be lowered? Because, I've complained about streets like West Stubbs, where the speed limit is like 45, and that's a relatively rural, quiet area, but people drive very, very fast on it, right? So have we considered any of those streets that we may need to think about changing the speed limit, lowering?
So by law and the recent updates we received on GDOT and the new laws that we have, cities are able to lower the posted speed limits after a recommendation of a traffic speed. So we've done one for the city, which it actually met the warrants. Then under those conditions, by law, it meets the criteria and we're able to lower the speeds. Then we still have to come back to you and present those options for the city council to approve, and we're able to, if it meets the warrants, we're able to lower the speeds.
So basically, studies pending.
Right.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The chair recognizes District 3 Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you. I just want to add some context around the renters, and why I do understand my colleagues' concern around the renters, but why I think renters should stay as they are in the ordinance. Number one, in a lot of our communities, we have a lot of investment companies that own these properties, and to try to get investment companies to be responsive has been a challenge. Also, sometimes to get people to respond that are renters to be responsive is a challenge. You have military personnel that could be overseas, to try to get them to be responsive to sign a petition can hold up the entire process for the neighborhood. And even though someone is renting, they still, in my opinion, should have a say on whether or not they want traffic calming in their community. You know, people rent for different circumstances. Some people just don't want to own, and I'm seeing that more prevalent now today. So because they make a decision they don't want to own property, does not mean they shouldn't have a say of what's going on in their community. And so I just think we should be real careful by taking that out and putting the onus on the person who owns the house for those reasons. Investment companies own various properties throughout our city. It could be a challenge trying to get them to sign a petition. We have people who are renting homes that are out of the country. It could be a challenge trying to get them to be responsive, and it could be a challenge to get people who rent properties responsive. And, you know, that can hold up a process for a whole community. And so I think it should, I'm for leaving it as is in the ordinance. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Plus the squatters law we just found out passed today, so our police department will help us be able to have more teeth around that particular issue that's plaguing the nation, not only in the city of South Fulton. Now, the cost, you said that we have, the city is gonna take the onus of paying for the cost of the traffic calming devices, and we have allocations per our district. So if we have somebody who has, 6 applications and they run out of funding, they just run out of funding. Is that the way that works? They're not gonna take funding from other areas.
So the traffic calming fund has grown over time.
Okay.
And so I'm not really concerned because the allocation is annual.
Okay.
But I'm not really concerned that you would run out of funding for this by district. I think if we had that situation, we would come back and ask for an amendment. If in 1 year, you know, we like swept through all of them, or we had a very long street and that used up a lot of funding.
Okay.
But I would imagine that would be we would come back to council rather than just rob from Peter to pay Paul, if you will.
And once this is released, you're gonna have everybody thinks they need traffic calmings. Everybody thinks they need speed humps. So it's gonna probably be a mad rush of people wanting to get involved in this process. Can you provide the locations that you currently have in queue?
We can provide the list. Some time ago, we shared that list and we showed how many. There were several in the queue. Only a few of them had been approved.
Okay.
So should the council approve this, tonight it's on for a first read. There'll be a second read. I have asked for time to implement after an ordinance is passed. But what we would do between the time when you pass it and when it becomes effective is start to work down the list of the backlog that already exists.
Okay, I do recall you sending that. That was some time ago. Can you resend it?
Sure.
Okay. And I have a response to the long roads, and I guess I'm gonna put it in. I understand what Mr. Venezuela is saying. For example, I'm gonna give you an example. Mason Road. Mason Road runs from Roosevelt Highway into several subdivisions, and so my understanding is what you're saying is you cannot take into account everybody who stays on Mason Road. You have to, for example, when you get to Creekside subdivision, you have to account for everybody who stays in Creekside subdivision on Mason Road if they decide they want traffic calming. Another example is Stonewall Tail. It runs through several municipalities, several subdivisions. And so, in other words, if we decide to put traffic calming or do a study on traffic calming in Stonewall Tail, and if it runs in front of several subdivisions, you will work with that subdivision that is that Stonewall Tail applies to. Is that what you're saying? You can't just take into account, you
Right.
can't determine you're gonna put traffic calming based on everybody that lives on Stonewall Tail, because it's a
So-
very long road.
The difference is that Stonewall Tail or Enon Road or Butner Road or Mason Road, those are minor collectors.
Right,
While we're looking into the traffic elements and the internal subdivisions.
right,
And then if we want to do something into those minor collectors that you don't want to slow down traffic for different reasons, right?
right.
But perhaps we can do speed studies, which we don't need input from the subdivision residents. We can do a speed study like we've done on Enon Road, and we do at different locations. And if that's posted speed limit is at 45 miles per hour, and the results warrants to lower the posted speed limit, we can lower to 35 miles per hour.
Okay, I understand. Thank you
Yep.
so much. I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
that's all the questions I have.
Okay, before I think we're heading into the second round, so I do see people that are in the queue, but before we head into that second round, I wanted to provide some clarity, hopefully, and just some information. First, I want to thank you, Councilman Willis, for taking up for us renters. But I think the reason that this change was originally made, because in the original legislation that we adopted from Fulton County, it didn't have renters, and then we added it. And I think you're absolutely right with all of the reasons you said that we should keep it in. And under the original legislation, we polled property owners because they would be billed for installing the speed bumps. But now that they will not be billed, now that we have a fund, it's really about polling the people who are living in the neighborhood. And, you know, they have the children that are on the streets or whatever. The other thing is we've talked a lot about issues of equity. In some communities in our city, there are not 50 or 85% home ownership. And so when we talk about some of the applications that have been denied, some neighborhoods, some streets, I'll wait. Some neighborhoods and some streets would never be able to qualify because everyone on the street is renting, or 50% or more of the people on a particular street are renting. And in some neighborhoods, I'm going to name Peppermill Lane, which is where I grew up. That's where some of the worst speeding is happening. We have renters that have moved into these communities. Maybe they're young and they're speeding, and the few seniors that are left on that street, there's just not enough of them to get the speed bumps approved. And so that, along with lowering the threshold from 85% to 50%, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, City Manager Suberdan, lowering the speed threshold from 11 miles to 5 miles is helping people who were previously ineligible to become eligible. The problem that we saw happening before is that the majority of the applications that were being submitted were being ineligible for these technicalities, not because the speeding wasn't happening, but they just couldn't meet these high thresholds. And that is one of the benefits of having this speed bump fund, right? Or this, traffic calming. I call it speed bumps because that's what folks in the street call them. I do think that it is important to yield to the expertise of our public works officials around, one, the affected area. I was asking you about a particular street earlier, Mr. Valenzuela, and I said, is it going to be the whole street or is it going to be? So I think before engaging in the petition, I would recommend the first step being talking to the Public Works office and having them give us what the affected area is, so that we're asking everyone that we need to ask, and we're not going outside of the affected area if we don't need to. That's what they are there to help do. And the second thing that I would yield to our Public Works officials on is prioritizing the projects. I believe that they should be first come, first serve in most cases, unless there is an area that you have found to be so dangerous. There are a couple of intersections. Councilman Williams-Brown, I know you're familiar with the street is eluding me now just because I called their name. In Old National East, where cars have ended up in this one resident's yard, I think 4 or 5 times in the past couple of years, they've literally had a car end up in their yard. And so, you know, in the case where that's happening, or that people are dying, I think that I would yield to your expertise to say if we need to move this one up in the queue because of the danger, especially if people had applied previously and because they couldn't meet these thresholds, their applications were being denied, but these horrible things are happening. The last one is just to address the issue of capacity and the online form. This is something that the mayor's office interns will be working on, and I am happy to announce that we are partnering with Atlanta Metropolitan College's computer science department. Those are going to be our first sets of interns. They are going to work with legal and public works to digitize that form so that we can have an online form. And again, one of the reasons that we will be having people knocking is because there are some of these neighborhoods where they're seniors, and you just can't ask, you know, someone who's 65 or 70, please go up and down this street and knock all your neighbors' doors and get this petition signed. So we want to help those people who may not be able to get out and do the legwork with these able-bodied young people that we are going to be hiring through our internship program. So I just wanted to give those insights. And with that, I yield to you, Councilwoman Gomes.
I do have a question in regards, what are the provisions for HOAs that have gone defunct?
That's a good question. So we can only work with subdivisions that have a precedent, or sometimes I think what they've done is going from the HOA, they went and created a different type of, not necessarily HOA, but it's called, we have dealt with a couple of them, an association. They become associations, civic associations, so which they represent them, especially on the older subdivisions.
So you're saying that, for instance, the Cliftondale Community Club or Sandtown Association will be responsible if the HOA has gone defunct in order for you all to address that?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Again, this is the first reading. If the body is not in agreement of how they should substitute the HOA instead of an association.
Well, yeah, and that's what the experts, the subject matter experts are for. So if you all can bring us back, I think, you know, some more thought around that as well. And not to give any pushback to my colleagues, but I have to give a little bit of pushback. There's more thought around the renter process because, again, even if we don't necessarily believe it, and we do have some renters that, you know, may rent for a year, then we may have some that may rent for 10 or 15 years. But again, if there's some provisions around timing of when an absentee owner does not respond, if they can weigh in, because again, as a homeowner, I would take it personally, you know, if somebody's making a decision, you know, to put speed bumps or however, and I'm out of the country or whatever the case may be. But again, that's something that we can't necessarily, you know, hack out today. I'm just thinking, that is a transit community, renters. So they may move to another subdivision and make decisions there and this and then the third. So just putting some thought around that to protect the city and to also protect the homeowners and the renters as well. That's my
Absolutely.
pushback.
We'll be working with our legal department as well, asking those legal questions that we don't necessarily have it with us as public works. We're not the experts on that end,
Yeah.
but we're going to work with our team.
Okay.
Yes.
We can activate our legal department. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair recognizes District 6 Councilwoman Williams Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I do think, Mayor, that you make a very valid point, particularly regarding District 6, in characterizing the district as having a number of rental homes that are corporate-owned. Several of the houses on my own street are corporate-owned. There are also a couple of them that are Section 8 housing as well. And so I think it is important that we keep in mind those dynamics. Just because the reality is when the housing market went under in 2008, people came in because the houses were so incredibly cheap. 20, 30,000 people came in and swept up multiple homes to turn them into rentals. And I don't know how we track down the owner of a house when the owner of that house is Open Door or Invitation Homes. But I think it is also, it's very important that we try to remove as many roadblocks as possible, because I literally just had a conversation on Saturday with a resident on Kimberly Mill who showed me a video of a car losing control in the curve on Kimberly Mill, and taking out his mailbox, ending up in his front yard, taking off his mailbox for what he said was the 4th time that this has happened. And I've shared, I believe, that video, or if not the video, I at least shared the pictures of, requests that he had about what can be done to stop cars from speeding up and down Kimberly Mill. Particularly, and I think number 2, particularly given that all of us are now using GPS programs to help us navigate traffic. Waze, I think, is the most popular, but there are others that are out there that when traffic gets bad, the GPS will route you through a neighborhood to get around the traffic. And where we did not have so much traffic on the streets of our neighborhoods, now we do, as people are trying to get around the absolute disaster that is trying to drive around Metro Atlanta. So there are a number of things that have to be factored in when we are looking at things like thresholds, owners versus renters, what driving is like in 2024 versus just even what it was when the city was created in 2017. But I think that the thresholds that are being proposed are reasonable. I know that I specifically have heard this in some very contentious meetings around what are we doing to address speeding. And I would hate to see us wrap this effort that we've been promising now for a year that we were going to do this, to wrap this up in debates about who's an owner, who's a renter, where do the renters come from, and what are we doing about corporate-owned rentals, knowing that 3 companies own 19,000 rental properties in the Metro Atlanta area. And I've got people that have cars ending up in their front yard, on a regular basis now. I yield.
Chair recognizes Councilman Sebastian.
I want to once again just mention this issue about non-HOA streets and non-HOA residents. I've heard from constituents before that as a city, we kind of appear to have this little bias towards HOA communities, which we have a lot of, right? So we do a lot of work with HOA communities. But if I just mention Hall, Bethlehem, Riverton Road, Hopgood, Herndon, West Stubbs, Cedar Grove Road, Ridgetown Road, they don't have HOAs in them. And these are all roads I can tell you in District 4 that the majority of them people speed on. People have died on these roads. So I just want us to think through this piece of those non-HOA homes properly, streets properly. I don't feel as if it's tight enough personally. And so with that, I'm just going to mention that, and I'm going to leave it with you all. Okay? Thank you.
I want to clear something up as the author of the legislation for the speed bump fund and the person that's been working on this ordinance. The fund is for everyone. I'm not even sure where and Mr. Valenzuela, you and I can talk, Madam City Manager, you and I can talk if there's any confusion. I think that we're clear. There is no distinction between HOA and non-HOA communities. If you apply and your application is approved and we've got money, we're going to get you a speed bump. If there is an HOA that is well-funded, they can purchase speed bumps on their own, right? With city approval, they can do them on their own. But the fund is for everyone. So I don't want anyone to think that there's any distinction or discrimination. There's no bias. If you apply and I hear people saying there is in the process, I'm working with him on the process, so we're going to clean that up. I want it to be clear. If anyone, anywhere in the city of South Fulton asks for a speed bump and their application is approved and there's money in the fund, there's not going to be any discrimination about that. Like, and if that's not clear, I'm saying it as the author that we will make it clear. We have a first read tonight. There'll be a second read in 2 weeks. I don't want anyone to, that's just not going to happen. And so I just want to put everyone's fears to rest. We can have a conversation about the renters versus owners. I'll take a consensus when we do our first read tonight. But in terms of folks with HOAs, that is not on the table. That is not an intent of this legislation. All right, if all hearts and minds are clear, I will thank you, Mr. Valenzuela, and I will ask the clerk to sound the next item.
Just, Mr. Mayor, to
Go ahead.
add to your comments and concerns, as well as Councilor Sebastian, we will accept those petitions. Maybe if it's not an HOA, we will receive those petitions as they apply to Public Works for traffic calming.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
The next item is discussion, financial policies of Finance Department. Mr. Green, Deputy Finance Director.
Good evening, distinguished council members and Mayor, Madam Stewart, and Mr. Hyman. Go to the initial. Next slide. What we want to discuss are the City of South Fulton's financial policies in a process for updating our financial policies to to address certain flaws or inconsistencies with our financial policies. What we want to discuss initially is the process for updates. At the city manager's direction, the finance department is developing a financial policies manual. The 4 draft policies being presented today are the first in a series, and over time, a total of 15 chapters and/or policies will be presented for your review. Once all are adopted, amendments to appropriate provisions of the code will be proposed. Next slide. The agenda for this evening will be these 4 policies: general fund balance and reserves, investments, long-term financial planning, debt management. Next slide. Why are the changes being proposed? One, we wanted to consolidate. The current financial policies are in different chapters of the code, and some are in drastic conflicts to existing what we actually do. Number 2, we wanted to make them comprehensive, and we wanted to update to be more comprehensive and to conform with industry's best practice, namely Government Financial Officers Association, making sure that we're in line with what other municipalities around the country are doing. Next slide. The first being general fund balance. Reserves are the cornerstone of the organization's financial flexibility. They provide options for responding to unexpected issues and a buffer against shocks and other forms of risk, such as elastic revenue sources, such as the closure of a major employer in a specific area, or unexpected expenses from events like storms, fires, or major public health emergency crisis, operating costs, and new infrastructure needs probably due to storm damage. Next slide. Fund balance strategy. Currently, we have no funding order dealing with our fund balance. What we're proposing is to have a funding order, with 1 being budget stabilization, 2 being responding to emergency disasters, 3 building working capital, and 4 capital improvement projects. Currently, 100% of the fund balance is unassigned. What that means is there are no restrictions on the fund balance as of such to date. What we're proposing is an allocation of fund balance. We want to set up 3 categories, 1 being fund balance that are restricted in use, number 2, rainy day fund, and then the 3rd being what's called unassigned, which is at our discretion. Thirdly, we want a targeted goal. The targeted goal currently is 12% of the subsequent year's budgeted expenditures. What we're proposing is an increase to the target of 20% of the prior year's expenditures. Next slide. Investments. Purpose of this is to establish a clear understanding of investment goals, objectives, and management policies applicable to the City of South Fulton's investment portfolio. This policy will apply to activities of the City of South Fulton City Council, City Manager, and the Finance Department when investing the financial assets of those funds under its control. These funds are accounted for in the city's annual comprehensive financial report. Next slide. Currently, investment strategy right now currently is at a really high level, and what we want to propose is a more defined strategy moving forward. We want to incorporate best practices from GFOA. We also want to define elements in our investment strategy to look at credit risk, interest rate risk, and liquidity risk. We want to speak to the importance of liquidity and yield. We also want to add standards of care to include ethics, conflict of interest, et cetera, in our policy. We also wanted to define with brokers, financial institutions, and depositories the City of South Fulton will deal with. And we also want to define suitable and authorized investments that meet the needs of the cities of South Fulton and the city. Next slide. Long-term financial planning. What we want is to have a policy that directs staff to develop long-term financial planning and trends to include projecting revenue and expenses, and definitely consider key factors that have a financial impact on the city. Long-term financial planning creates a commitment to motivation to provide a guide for good decision-making, which is what we strive for. Long-term financial planning relates to strategic planning, developing great and consistent financial policies, capital improvement planning, and great budgeting. GFOA recommends that all governments prepare and maintain a long-term financial plan that projects revenues and expenses, financial position, and external factors for all key funds in government operations of at least 5 years into the future. Next slide. Currently, our long-term financial plan does not exist when it comes to these particular items. What we are proposing is to address these elements: a commitment to sound financial planning. We want to define the scope of the plan. We also want to talk about the relationship between financial and strategic planning, find imbalances and correct them, and also come up with a plan that provides long-term balance. What we suggest is a minimum of a 3-year outlook, but ideally you want to look at it for 5 years. Next slide. Debt management. This policy will establish 3 reasons for the establishment of a debt policy. First, the policy will establish the criteria for the issuance of debts so that acceptable levels of indebtedness are maintained. Second, the debt policy transmits the message to investors and rating agencies that the City of South Fulton is committed to sound financial management. Third, the debt policy will provide consistent and continuity to public policy development when elected officials work from guidelines to govern the planning and execution of transactions and projects. The City of South Fulton recognizes the importance of sound financial management and of a debt policy that is consistent. GFOA and bond rating agencies strongly recommend the development of a formal debt policy statement. Next slide. Currently, our current policy lacks guidance and purpose when it comes to the issuance and management of debt. So what we want to do with our proposed updates is come up with a comprehensive debt policy that will address, 1, the purpose of our funding, the condition of our debt issuance, restrictions on our debt issuance, financial limitations, debt issuance process, and the debt management process. Next slide. And I will entertain any questions.
All right, the chair recognizes District 3 Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you. This was a great summation of what we're heading towards. How will this position us to secure a bond rating, and how long will it take us?
Well, this tonight is being presented. The actual document that is our draft is like 80 pages. I'm looking for volunteers who want to read through the whole thing. I had a feeling we'd have some volunteers. Our goal is to get this adopted. We will be making some changes to our existing ordinance. So the fund balance is the first one, which right now it's 12%. We're going to be changing that to 20%, and it's on there tonight for a first read. And so we are very, very close to being finished with the fiscal 22 audit. Having a debt management policy that looks like this is a requirement as well. So we're doing all the things to put us in position, and I'm hoping to be able to come back to you with with a strategy we're taking to get ourselves a bond rating in the second quarter.
Lastly, so I think we have great and competent staff now, but just to have a third-party review, would you be open to maybe letting, what's his name, Chris Pike, the one that teaches our GMA classes on financial policies, just to do a high-level overview and just to give some third-party feedback in case if we miss anything? And not because I'm not quite, I think you all are very competent. I just think having extra eyes won't, hurt us. And he teaches us all of our financial policies and GMA.
We can certainly approach him. We have had 2 consultants working
Okay.
with us on this, but we can also approach him to see if he's available.
No, if
to
you've
do
if
a-
you already had people, that's fine. But I know he's very good in that area too.
Sure.
All right. And I'm not talking about. You know who I'm talking
I know
about.
which
Okay.
one.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes District 1, Councilwoman Dr. Rowell.
Thank you for this presentation, and I definitely think it's a move in the right direction. I know when we first started, that first leap about trying to develop a reserve is huge, but we knew we had to start somewhere, so I do think it's time to move that number up. I had a question. As we think about the Public Facility Authority, is there, and thinking about the building that we're planning across the city, will there be something earmarked? I saw capital improvement on the presentation, some others, and I think he called it unassigned, which I like discretionary better, but will we have something in for that, and will a special line dedicated for, financing of the debt to support the construction projects we want to roll out?
Sure. So this provides us with the baseline policy direction. As you know, in this year's budget, we allocated funding for debt service, even though we didn't think we'd get all the way there from here. It's developing that rhythm and developing that discipline of a certain amount of our current general fund budget is set aside for debt service. And so ultimately, what that will look like for us is a debt service fund. And when we do issue debt, all the debt will be paid from that fund. Does that answer?
Yeah, and I guess I'm ready to make the leap to get started, because I think we're all anxious to see a number of these capital construction projects move forward, that we're thinking about it on the front end, even if it's only a little bit, just let's get started. So those were my 2 questions, and again, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Willis.
Where are we with the ERP, like moving away from Edmonds as relative to our financial policies? And because I pulled some reports from Edmonds, and it hasn't been the most user-friendly tool, and it's just kind of hard to kind of balance our budgets from a city council point of view. And I have some questions I'll send you all later, because I don't see some things posted. But where are we with moving away from Edmonds?
So we're in the process, as you know. So Rodney Green, who presented today, is our deputy CFO. We are in the process of recruiting for a CFO, and that is, they asked what are the top 3 things this person needs to do in their first 12 months, and transitioning us over to Tyler is high on that priority list. We're actually looking for somebody who has experience with that, who's done it before. Quite honestly, with all of our other priorities, I don't think that it is something that's going to happen in this fiscal year. We are also working to transition from SAGES, and I think that's a little bit further along. And so our plan is to do that first, which is also a Tyler product. But I am also very anxious. When I get those reports too, they're very non-user friendly, and so we are anxious to see how we can make that transition to Tyler. Probably will be in the next fiscal year after October.
Is Tyler the software? Is this on the ADP, or is this going to have everything? Is it going to have the platform for HR and finance, or is this going to be a separate platform from finance?
It would be, right now it's going to be the CDRA and finance.
Okay, CDRA and finance. Okay, and so HR will still be on ADP?
At this time, that's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. I asked that because they said they were going to put everything in one platform,
Yeah.
but I understand. Thank you.
I'm sorry. This is kind of tangential, but do you have an update, Madam Superintendent? I know we moved our money to, we diversified our holdings of accounts. Do you have a figure of how much we have saved or generated from that?
You want to take that? Do you have an update or?
I do not. I can get it for you in 1 second. I can grab my laptop and get it for you.
Just an estimate of where we are.
So we were at 4.5 million. I'm not sure if they've added February yet. So, you know, we're certainly taking advantage.
4.5 million as of February 29th. Yeah.
We are taking advantage of the upswing in the market.
Yes.
And it is hedging our expenses. As projects come in, they do come in more expensive.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight that. I think that you have, coming here, you have just done wonders for our finances. And anytime I get a chance to sing your praises and the praises of our new finance department, thank you all so much for all that you have done and are doing, and all the money that you are saving us and making for us here in the city of South Fulton. All right, thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you sound the next item?
Next item was executive session if needed.
I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for litigation, real estate, cybersecurity, and personnel.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? All right, I do have just some. We have a zoning hearing at 6.
No, the regular meeting starts at 5. We do have 2 zoning items in the regular meeting. But we don't have a zoning public hearing to 7. So our regular meeting begins at 5.
Mayor,
We make that change next.
I'm so confused. I'm going to say something, and then council is free to respond. Are our proclamation folks here? We have 3 proclamations. I know that I asked my proclamation people to be here by 7, and we had other guests that were coming that I also asked to be here by 7. So my apologies. We may have to move those to the end of the meeting whenever they come. Not everyone's proclamations. That's why I said our people, if we are going into the regular meeting, that usually starts with proclamations. Am I right? Okay. Our people that are receiving proclamations, by a show of hand, are any of you here tonight? All right. So one is. I just want to put that out there, and I'm going to relinquish the floor and let council decide how they want to move forward.
In the queue for discussion.
I don't see anyone in the queue, so I just am going to go by a show of hands and whispers around me. Councilman Sebastian.
I think we need to have a short executive session because I think there's at least one item that we all need to get on the same page with and get a quick update, even if that's the only item we deal with.
The chair recognizes Councilwoman Willis.
I don't think we should go into executive session at this time. We advertise for our regular meeting to start at 5. I'm amenable to, when people come in, we can probably move the proclamations on down later on in the meeting till people get here and move on with the business of the people as advertised, and then have our executive session afterwards, because the topic that I know that Councilmember Sebastian is going to discuss is not going to be a short topic regarding real estate and litigation. So I think we should consider moving the proclamations on down in the agenda and then moving on with the business of the people. That way, when we're finished with the executive session, we all can just go home to our lovely spouses and significant others or dogs.
No, she didn't.
My dog is a significant other. Hey, Zion, I know you're watching at home. All right, so what I'll do is I'm just, the chair
motion on the floor.
I need everyone, I can run this meeting. I can. I'm really good at it, I think, at this point. So if I see Councilwoman Gumbs' hand, the chair recognizes District 2 Councilwoman Gumbs.
So the one proclamation is here. So how many do we have?
We have 3, and one of the 3
only one
is
is
here.
here.
I would like to offer this suggestion. If we would like to open the meeting, approve the agenda, do the proclamation that's here, and then go through the rest of the agenda, then we will have an executive session. We clearly will have one. We've never not had one, apparently. But can I just get some consensus maybe around that? By show of hands, do folks want to open the meeting and handle what we can handle now?
Yes.
Okay, I see, Mr. Clerk, you have a better view than I do.
I see 2. I see 2 yays, 3 yays, 2.
4.
To start the regular meeting now. All right, so the chair will entertain a motion.
It's already one on the floor.
Motion on the floor.
Oh, okay, we do have a motion to go
So
into
am I
executive
rescinding
session.
that motion? Did we have enough votes
No,
to go
we
in?
were in discussion, you're absolutely right, we were in discussion. Will you restate the motion, and then we'll just take a vote?
Here's a motion by Councilmember Gumbs, seconded by Councilmember Willis to go, Councilmember Rao to go into executive session for real estate, personnel, litigation, and cybersecurity.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Yes. Yes. Roll call vote, Councilmember Rao,
Nay.
Councilmember Gumbs.
Whatever is best for the body.
Is that an abstention?
Let's say nay.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Sebastian,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams-Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Pritchett.
Yes.
That motion is approved. We are recessed at 5:14 p.m.
All right, we will be back as soon as possible. For those of you all who are joining us in person, please feel free to look at our incredible closed story exhibit in the Southwest Arts Center Art Gallery. You may also want to check out the new district maps that will take effect as soon as the legislative, well, not necessarily as soon as the legislative session ends, but these will be the people that you will be voting for May 21st. So your congressperson, your state house representative, and your state senate representative may all be changing when you go to the ballot in May. You can check in the maps in the lobby right now to see what districts you have been drawn into by our state legislature. We'll be back as soon as possible. South Fulton, forever. executive session and reconvene our work session.
I move to adjourn executive session and to move into our regular session.
All right, that has been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'll take that vote by a show of hands.
The motion was approved 4-0.
All right, Mr. Clerk, were there any items in executive session for which we need to take a public vote?
There was no formal action taken in executive session that requires a formal vote.
All right, thank you. I will entertain a motion to close the work session.
I move to close the work session.
Second.
All right, I will now gavel on my mic here this regular meeting into session. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
If I may, just let me carry the vote. So the work session was adjourned at 6:13, 4-0.
Thank you. All right, please call the roll for our regular meeting.
It's a roll call for the regular meeting of the City of South Fulton City Council, Tuesday, March 26, 5 p.m. The Honorable Catherine F. Rao, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2. The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3. The Honorable J.C. Sebastian, District 4.
Present.
The Honorable Keosha B. Bell, District 5.
Present.
The Honorable Natasha Williams Brown, District 6.
Present.
And the Honorable Linda B. Pritchett, District 7.
Here.
And the Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item on the agenda is invocation. And come on down to that microphone there, please.
Good afternoon. Let us go to the Lord in prayer. Come now, Holy Spirit, with all thy quickening power. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we come before you to say thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for your tender mercies. Thank you for your loving kindness. God, thank you even for your rain, God. Thank you that you didn't even see fit for us to be out under the bridge or laying out in the street, oh God, not because we've been good, but it's because of your continuous grace and mercy. Father God, unless you build a city, the workers' work will be in vain. Help us to come on one accord. Help us to have love and compassion for one another. God, it's all about the people. It's about the people. Help us, Almighty God. Please, Jesus, we cannot make it without you. Strengthen us. Forgive us. Anything we said, done, or even thought that was not pleasing to you, forgive us right now. Because you said in your word, everything that come out of the mouth, good or bad, is being written down. Now, Father God, from this moment forward, lead us and guide us and strengthen us and keep us. And we'll be forever so careful to always give you glory, give you honor, and give you praise. Because we realize anything that you are not involved in is going to come to know. Now help us right now to remember this forever and for always in the precious name of Jesus. And we thank you and we count it done. Amen.
Amen.
Let us pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please sound the next item.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the City Council meeting minutes. City Council regular meeting minutes, March 19, 2024. City Council work session minutes, March 19, 2024. And City Council alcohol zoning public hearing minutes, March 19, 2024.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the City Council meetings as sounded by the clerk.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. I'll entertain that vote by a show of hands.
Record that motion approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Brings us to adoption of the council agenda. Mr. Mayor and council, there are several deletions and additions to tonight's agenda. The first is the removal of proclamations by Councilmember Bell. There are two. The two young ladies aren't able to be here this evening, so they will not be presented this evening. The mayor wishes to add a MOU, a memorandum of understanding between the city of South Fulton and Cali, Colombia, for language and cultural exchanges and commitment to mutually beneficial economic development, as well as a special event on April 12th, which is a screening and discussion of the documentary Freaknik. Councilmember Willis wishes to add a special event, Legacy White Senior Brunch. I just need the date, and is it at Welcome Hall?
It's a partnership with Councilmember Gums, and it's going to be May 8th. Also, a town hall meeting to be determined in the month of April for District 3.
Okay. And also, Councilmember Pritchett wishes to add a special event at the Economic Development Office on April 6th from 10 to noon, and this will be the false alarm reduction awareness training. Those are the additions that I received for tonight's meeting.
Can you repeat one?
I'm sorry?
Did you say something about Freaknik?
Yeah, there's a screening.
You want to speak?
Yeah, we're working with Hulu to host a screening and discussion here with the director.
Oh, okay.
Say that again.
Okay, if we can just approve the agenda, then we can have a conversation about it when we get to the item.
Yeah,
but yes.
Point of order, Mayor. So it's a request for us to host an event? Is that what that was? I just want to make sure I heard clearly.
It's a screening here.
Screening?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Not an event, just a screening.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that'll be enough.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion to approve the agenda as adjusted.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. I'll take that vote by show of hands.
Corey, that motion approved unanimously, 7-0 as amended.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
One moment. Mr. Mayor, members of council, we have reached the public comment section, but once again, we did not receive any cards from the public for tonight's meeting.
All right, then please sound the next. I think it's good. We're not hearing public comments. I think that's a good thing. But please sound the next item.
That brings us to council comments.
We are.
We probably shouldn't have been into.
I'll start with District 1, Dr. Rao.
I want to thank all the residents who've been coming out to participate in the Monday fitness exercises at Sandtown Rec. I got a chance to actually participate on Monday, so I was excited to see all our seniors getting body sculpted in a class. So if you're not aware, that's being offered at Sandtown Rec Center, as well as aerobics on Saturdays at 10 a.m. So now that we have the rec center, we have active programming there. I want to encourage you to participate. These classes are free, and the group is very energetic. So kudos on that, City of South Fulton Parks and Rec. In addition, I want to thank all the parents who brought their children out to support the city's Easter extravaganza at Sandtown Park. We had a huge turnout. The kids had a blast. Face painting, jump houses, crafts, in lots and lots of ag. So again, thank everybody for coming out for the event. Huge turnout. Looking forward to next year already. And I think that about covers it. Again, stay engaged and stay tuned for the upcoming bingo we have at Sandtown Rec on April 19th. We're looking for a big crowd. If the grand opening for Sandtown is any indication, I encourage you to get there early to get a seat. And other than that, that's it. Thank you.
All right, and if you'll send me that link, Clerk Adams. District 2, Councilwoman Gumbs.
Well, I do want to give some kudos, especially for Deshaun, the guru. I think he sent a picture, and hopefully, Mayor, do you have the picture? Maybe you'll show it in your comments, where the class is growing.
Yes.
At Sandtown.
Yes.
So I do encourage you all to go and get your body right. The summertime is coming. I don't know what you seniors what you all have going on this summer, but a nice workout would be great. But it is fun. You get to meet other seniors from the community as well and make new friends. So please go out and support. The bigger it gets, the more resources you'll get. I do know that the group is looking for T-shirts, and I think they're trying to come up with a name for the group. So I hope you all will attend that. Also, too, I want to thank everybody for coming out to the groundbreaking. We had a few residents that came out for the groundbreaking for Butner Road and Union Road, the roundabout. We're excited because that project is a long time coming. Hopefully, we will be completed by next year this time on budget and on schedule, so we're looking forward to that. On March the 28th, we will have our annual Women Business Mixer at Fresh for Herb Tea Shop that is located in the Butner Village Shopping Center. This is our third annual event, and we have a lot of fun. We have women that come across from all over the city that have businesses to network, share, best business practices and things of that nature. So we are looking forward to having that event. And again, that is on Thursday at 6:30 at the Fresh for Herb Tea Shop. And if you've ever been there, they have herbs for any type of ailments that you may possibly have. The tea is awesome. So I do encourage you to come out and hang out with us. Also, too, we will be having a town hall on April 25th. The announcement as of the location right now is to be determined, but I'm assuming that would be at Wolf Creek Library, but we are in the process of that. So mark your calendars for April 28th for a District 2 Town Hall. And then lastly, on April the 27th, in partnership with Alpha Kappa Alpha, Alpha Beta Omega Omega, which is the City of South Fulton, AKAs, we will be doing our bulk trash cleanup. And hopefully we will also be recycling electronics as well on that day, free to the city for the residents. So look forward to more information for that. If you have any questions or you're looking for more information or just to follow what's going on in District 2, please follow me on Facebook, or you can also follow me on Instagram at I am Carmelita Gumbs, or you can go to the website, councilwomancarmelitagums.com. Have a good evening, and hopefully we won't be here that long. Thank you.
All right, District 3, Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you for recognizing me. I want to thank Parks and Recreation for all your hard work for the Sandtown Easter Egg Hunt. I did attend, and it was very well organized. Kudos to you guys, and good job. And thank you for all the District 3 residents that attended and participated in the groundbreaking of the Union and Butner Road on March 28th. And we got to do something about these conflicts that keeps happening, Councilmember Gumbs, because I'm going to miss your women's event because of this. District 3, we have a chat and chew organized by our police department and Park and Recreation that will be happening at the tennis center. And that chat and chew, it starts at 6 p.m. So please, if you missed the Coffee with the Cop, This is for the working individuals or people who attended the Coffee with a Cop and want to come back. Please plan to attend the District 3 Chat and Chew at the South Fulton Tennis Center. Also, we want to remind you all to sign up to volunteer for the Miracle League. The city of South Fulton does have a Miracle League, and they do operate out of Walcomall Park. The dates of the Miracle League games are in my newsletter, so if you're not getting my newsletter, I do share it on social media, and I share it via email. You can subscribe to it by sending me an email, and I add you to my email. Councilmember Gums and I will be in partnership to have for Older American Month, a legacy white brunch for our seniors at Walcomall Park. And so we will be putting that information out and registration link out very soon. And on April 13th, please be aware there will be a COPS Unity Day hosted at Walcomall Park on April 13th by the Police Athletic Association in collaboration with Parks and Recreation Police. And I want to thank the men of Omega Psi Phi for sponsoring the food on that particular, for that particular event. Summer is approaching, and what you do see is a lot of programs. I've shared a lot of that information. If you have programs that you want me to share in my newsletter, please send them to me. I know I have shared information from the Sheriff's Office, the Junior Deputy Program, College Internship Program, Citizens Academy, and the City of South Fulton has an internship program for people to apply that are in college. Please make sure that you are taking advantage of those resources. Commissioner Arrington and I typically partner every year for a teen job fair. We'll be bringing that back again in May. I think it's May 18th. We'll be putting that information out soon so that we can make sure we get our kids ready for this summer. If you are hiring anybody that's 16 or above and want to participate in our job fair at Walcomall Park, please send that information to me so that we can get you invited to the job fair. And thank you for engaging. And we can't run the city by ourselves, so the more that you are engaged and provide feedback, the better we are. If you're not getting my newsletter, please subscribe. Send me an email at helen.willis@cityofsouthfultonga.gov, or you can text me at District 3 42828. Thank you.
District 4, Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very quickly, thank you, citizens, for your engagement. Thank you for those who have recently reached out, who want to sign up for my newsletter, and those who have sent compliments about it. Please continue to stay engaged. It's getting warm, so when it gets warm in District 4, things kind of get heated up. So for the month of April, we'll be having 3 events in April. The first one is actually going to be a groundbreaking, and we're going to do a 2-in-1 for the roundabout at Cedar Grove Road and Rivertown Road, and for the expansion of Fire Station 6, that's going to be on April 1st at 620 Cedar Grove Road in South Fulton and District 4. Also on April 13th is the 3rd annual Autism Fest in partnership with Autism Branches at 11 a.m. at Wilkerson Mill Park. Last year we had folks from several counties and very far away, even around Georgia, who attended that festival. Again, it's a unique experience both for those who are on the spectrum and those who are supportive. So please come out and give support and enjoy a day and experience things like vendors and service providers that are available to help. And then on April 27th, we're going to have another popular event in District 4, 3rd year, where we teach our kids fire safety. We basically bribe them with ice cream and ask them to come out and learn about fire safety. And so that's going to be on April 27th at the Village Shops at Cedar Grove. And so I'm asking you to send your kids out, bring your kids out. It's on a Saturday, and they're going to have lots of fun. The fire department promised to go to another level again this year. I think they called it their fire safety truck. It's almost like a game. I know, Chief, I'm probably just jacking this up. It's almost like a game truck that teaches fire safety. I hope I got it exactly right. I haven't seen it myself, so I'm looking forward to it. So, again, I'm encouraging everyone to bring the kids out and come out and learn about some fire safety issues on that day, April 27th, at noon in District 4. Thank you.
This used to be a big attraction, this fire safety truck, so we are anxiously awaiting the return. District 5, Councilwoman Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Just as a reminder, we will be having our Community Resource Fair and Easter Extravaganza on Saturday at Burdette Park Field from 12 noon to 4. Today is the last day to register for that event. It is going to be a fun, eventful afternoon for kids and families. We will have several community resources from well care to senior care, Medicaid, camps, job opportunities. It will be filled with community resources for each and every one of you, your children and your families. We'll have a game truck, bounce houses, food trucks, you name it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So please come on out and enjoy this afternoon, a safe and peaceful and fun and eventful afternoon at Burdette Park Field. Again, on Saturday, March the 30th from 12 noon until 4 p.m. We are gearing up for our second annual Earth Day. That will be on April the 20th. So please come out, support Ms. Kendall Ray. In addition, forthcoming, we will be having in District 5 a District 5 business-to-business town hall for those businesses in District 5, alongside our City of South Fulton Police Department and other departments will be in attendance so that we can discuss the businesses, what the concerns and the needs are for District 5 as it relates to our business owners, business plazas in District 5. In addition to that, we will be planning our next and upcoming resident District 5 Town Hall meeting. And for those that are interested in the newsletter, please continue to email me at kiosha.bell@cityofsouthfultonga.gov. Your email addresses as a newsletter /flipbook will be coming soon. That's all I have. I look forward to seeing many of you come out on Saturday for a wonderful afternoon of fun and keeping it live in District 5.
District 6, Councilwoman Williams-Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Very quickly, I would like to thank the residents who came out last Saturday for bingo. We had a outstanding time. It was a completely full room and with a lot of fun and laughter and prizes that were given out on last Saturday as well. I would like to thank everyone who came to the town hall just this past Saturday to meet our new city manager and ask questions that you had of her. Again, completely full room and lots of good questions, lots of good dialogue. And so thank you for supporting both of those things. As always, if you are not getting my newsletter, please send an email to natasha.williams@cityofsouthfultonga.gov so that you can be added to the newsletter. Thank you.
District 7, Councilwoman Pritchett.
I am very pleased to report that the light on Peters Road is now active. Peters Road and Highway 138, that was also a dangerous intersection, and we heard the people's cry, and so hopefully between the light on Peters Road and the light on Bethsaida Road, hopefully we can make our community safer for people to drive on. Also, we will be having a false alarm reduction awareness training. For those of you who may be familiar with the Cry Wolf program, which is a false alarm reduction program, we have amended that, and we're just waiting for the mayor to sign it so that it will go into effect. But we would like to make sure that residents who do not understand what this program is, that you can get training, and also that you can have any fines that you have received in the past that you have not gone to court for, where those fines can be reduced by your attendance in this training class that will be taught or presented by our police department. Also on April, and this will be at our Economic Development Office, again on April the 6th, that's a Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We also will have a bulk waste and shredding day on April the 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. And this is because residents keep asking, when can we have another shredding day or another bulk trash day? Although we do have our Merck Miles transfer station that does allow residents to discard of their bulk waste, this is a free event where in District 7, over at the Tri-County Plaza, you can take advantage of this event. This is for City of South Fulton residents, and looking forward for you all to being able to discard safely your items. And also a reminder to anyone who is a homeowner and has not filed for their homestead exemption. The deadline is April the 1st. The county has homestead exemptions that start with, I believe, $30,000 off of your property tax assessment amounts. And the city also has several exemptions for seniors. So it's really important that when people ask, what do we do for the residents? What do we give back to the residents? We do give back through our homestead exemption program. Also, the last time that we looked at this program, I think less than half or about half of the city's rooftops are taking advantage of this. So make sure that you apply before April the 1st so that when you start receiving your assessments, I believe that may come around June or July, it'll look better. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring these up. I'm gonna try and give our clerk a break. Of course, I'm having problems with this Mac, so Mr. Clerk, would you just go ahead and bring that PowerPoint up? And while I do that, I want to first give a shout out to, is Carrie Ann here? Can you wave your hand? All right, yes, we met at new hire orientation. I get to meet all the new hires at new hire orientation and just give them a little welcome to South Fulton spiel. A few months ago, we, after trying a free intern program, and these kids these days don't want to work for free, right? It wasn't really working out, but we now have a paid intern program at $20 an hour. Ms. Carrie Ann is our first paid intern in the city of South Fulton. She is working with Councilwoman Carmelita Gums in District 2. Would you all just give her a warm round of applause and welcome? Also joining us is Mr. Tanguy here. He may have been here earlier and left, but we did have a reporter who came to profile me, and I told him that you really got to come and see our entire city council and the amazing operation that we have here. So we will be featured in Le Devoir, which is The Duty. It's one of Quebec's largest newspapers. So we are making international news for being a city on the rise. And with that, I'm going to go first into this. I wanted to just take a moment of silence for those who were injured and are still missing in the Baltimore bridge collapse that happened early this morning. All right, thank you. I did reach out to Mayor Scott in Baltimore. The prayers of our entire city are with you and your city at this time. Next slide. This week we marked the 92nd birthday of one of Atlanta's most influential mayors. I was in the parking lot of Mays High School in 1990, when it was announced that Atlanta would be the home for the Centennial Olympic Games. A lot of that was due to this mayor, who later on became a UN ambassador and has been a cheerleader for the city of Atlanta and the entire metro area. You can go to the next slide. So happy 92nd birthday, Ambassador Andrew Young. You have inspired me and a generation of mayors and elected officials. Thank you for all you have done and are still doing. Next slide. Want to give a special shout out to our Economic Development Department, next slide, who attended our South Metro Development Conference. It is the largest development conference on the South Side. Shout out and special thanks, not only to the mastermind behind the conference, former commissioner, former Councilman Michael Hightower, but also special thanks to our city manager, who awarded the legendary Marty Turpo and acknowledged all the contributions that he's made to the metro area. You can see us here at our South Fulton table. We were present, we were in the room, and our presence will be expanding year to year. Councilman Willis, I know you're proud to hear that. We are going to continue to have a presence at this conference that grows as the conference grows. Next slide. Shout out to Dr. Rao and the Easter extravaganza that she held on this side at Sandtown. And I want to give a special shout out to the South Fulton Masonic Lodge, who came through in a pinch and made burgers and hot dogs on site for all of the kids and families that came. Stay tuned if you missed that one. We have another one. Next slide, or you can hit enter, yeah, that's fine. We have another one coming up. You've heard about it from Councilwoman Bell. We will be at the extravaganza. The first dog will not be making an appearance at that event. But if you missed him, we were at Park and Pause. And just a special shout out and thanks to Mr. Derek Guyton, who has been putting on this event for a year and a half and has other events coming up. If you have a dog, we are going to start a series where you can bring your dog out to a dinner night at some of our South Fulton restaurants. We have signed on Gaucher's Tapas Bar, the 50-yard line, and there's one more that I can't think of on national, but we're going to be expanding that. So we see people doing this in other areas, in other parts of town. We want to have nights where people can come out with their four-legged friends and enjoy a drink and fellowship with other dog lovers throughout the city. Next slide, please. If you have warrants, now is a time that you can handle your business. If you're watching online or if you see that on the screen, you can go ahead and scan that. As my pastor says, you don't have to tell everybody your business, just look straight forward, but go ahead and scan that. And you can, thanks with in association with the Fulton County Solicitor, Keith Gamage, you can come and get those issues resolved. That's going to be happening in a couple of weeks on Saturday, April the 13th. Next slide. As always, you got to scan. Someone asked, where is it going to be? You got to scan to sign up, because we don't just want people showing up. We need you to register and have your paperwork ready so that we can do things in decency and order. As you have heard, we have some amazing Sandtown senior fitness classes. There are senior fitness classes happening throughout the city, but these were just recently launched. And what started with just one or two people, you can go ahead and hit the next slide, has expanded so much that we are outgrowing this small room. So May next month is going to be, I believe it's senior, it's a celebration of seniors. It's a senior celebration month. We're going to have an extra big class. You're going to just stay tuned to the city of southfultonga.gov or our city social media to find out more information. But we are here every Monday at 10 o'clock, and there is a special one for the brothers, men, muscles after 50 at 11:15. Though we are not quite there yet, my staff and I, myself, my public advocate, Bridgman Bolger, and our chief of staff, Yusuf Otway, are all there working out with the seniors Mondays at 11. So please come out. You can see, if you look real close, you can see Councilwoman Rao there in the back. And so it's a fun time and a great way to fellowship and meet people in our community. Go ahead and hit the next slide. And the most important announcement, to me, this will be my first State of the City address, and it will be our city's first State of the City in some years. May 1st will be our 7th anniversary. So this is not just a State of the City. This is a celebration of 7 years of cityhood and building a city that cares. That is our theme. You can get tickets online. The link is out there. I will say I've been getting requests for a very limited number of tickets. The tickets are already almost sold out. We just released the link today, and the tickets are almost all gone. So you want to get on that, go ahead and hit the next slide. You can find all of this information as well as that ticket link at the cityofsouthfultonga.gov next, or by texting the word Fulton to 33777. To sign up for my newsletter and mobile alerts. These are your announcements. Please govern yourselves accordingly. South Fulton forever. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Willis.
How is all the tickets sold out? Well, we got communication today that it wasn't going live until April 1st. That's the email that we got.
My understanding is that the link went live today. I looked on the link. Someone sent me a picture of the link and said that the tickets were already going. So do you want to, Madam City Manager?
Yeah, my understanding is that there are tickets reserved for each council person. It's in your email that says how many we reserve for you.
Yes, but only 5. But he's saying that the tickets for the community is already, and that's not fair, because we as council was told that it was not going to go live for people to get tickets until April 1st. That's going to cause some confusion. If they already let the mayor go ahead in his office, put out a link and we weren't told that the link wasn't going to go live until April 1st. Because I don't want to hear it from my residents when they can't get tickets.
So the understanding is that the tickets will be available to the general public on the 1st. However, the council members will have access to the tickets now.
So the link is not live?
No.
Okay.
The link is.
Well, I stand corrected. Someone sent me a picture and it looked as if we will get that looked into and corrected.
Y'all said April 1st, so anybody cancel all of those people?
All right, well, for more information on that event and the link whenever it is live, you can find that information at cityofsouthfultonga.gov. We need a bigger venue. All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to proclamation presentations. The first proclamation presentation this evening will be a proclamation celebrating March 10th through the 16th, 2024, as AmeriCorps Week. This is sponsored by Councilmember Gomes and the full mayor and council.
Would the members of AmeriCorps come on up to the stage? Come on down. All right, I'm going to read this proclamation. Whereas 30 years ago, Congress established AmeriCorps, formerly the Corporation for National and Community Service, to unite national service programs under one agency to create service opportunities that strengthen communities and expand pathways to education, careers, and civic participation. And national services is a hallmark of American culture and has the unique ability to bring people of all backgrounds together in a common cause to meet our country's most pressing challenges. These programs provide opportunities for over 200,000 Americans annually, serving the country through programs at nonprofits, schools, public agencies, and faith-based organizations across the country. And whereas the National Service represents a robust public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars, and in South Fulton, Georgia, more than 80 members from AMPAC's Georgia Reading and Math Corps, AmeriCorps members of diverse ages and backgrounds help to meet local needs at more than 30 elementary schools and middle schools in South Fulton, Georgia, by members giving back to their communities by tutoring and giving extra support for students. And whereas AmeriCorps members encourage collaboration and partnerships, leveraging millions of volunteers in service and acquiring the support of businesses, foundations, and other local partners to increase the effectiveness of their initiatives, and volunteering prepares AmeriCorps members for future careers, and their commitment to service communities reflects their dedication to patriotism of those who serve. And AmeriCorps Week is an opportunity to recognize the dedication and commitment of the over 200,000 members and volunteers who serve each year, with more than 1.25 million AmeriCorps alumni and their community service partners, as well as to encourage more Americans to follow their footsteps into service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the city council of the city of South Fulton, Georgia, celebrate, recognize, support AmeriCorps' dedication to excellence and commitment to foster civic and educational development in the city of South Fulton, and on behalf of the over 108,000 residents that call the city of South Fulton home, I do hereby proclaim March 10th through 16th, 2024 as AmeriCorps Week, and acknowledge all residents to urge citizens to thank AmeriCorps members for their service and to find their own ways to give back to their communities.
Thank you so much for the recognition and acknowledgement of AmeriCorps Week. We are excited about the work that we're doing in the schools in the city of South Fulton. Our AmeriCorps members not only serve within the school, but they serve within the community as well. And so when you see us out, make sure you say hello and thank them for their service as well. Thank you.
Thank you. You pause right there for a picture.
Next proclamation will be a proclamation presentation recognizing Barbara Mostella Oliver. This is presented by Councilmember Sebastian.
I call her Sister Barbara. I'm very proud to present this, by the way. And even if it's not here, I'm going to say it, that Barbara was one of the citizen soldiers in creating the city of South Fulton. So it really gives me great pleasure to present this to her. Come on, Mr. Oliver. Stand beside Sister Barbara. And the proclamation reads, whereas Barbara Mostella Oliver is a successful author who lives in Georgia with her husband, James. She writes in the fiction genre for the following categories: mystery, murder, romance, and suspense. Barbara has published a 3-book series titled, Who Would Have Thought? Book 1, Who Would Have Thought? Book 2, Consequences of Crime, Greed, and Love. And Book 3, Why Now? Was published February 21, 2024. Book 2 of this series was a shortlisted finalist for the Best Book Editors 2021 Award Ceremony, Best Cover. All books can be found on Amazon, and her author's business name is Barjum LLC. Whereas Ms. Oliver is a graduate of Alabama A&M University with a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science. She retired as a civilian after 30 years with the Department of Defense as a program manager from the historic U.S. Army FOSCOM at Fort McPherson, where the renowned Tyler Perry Studios now occupies. Whereas Ms. Oliver enjoys reading, writing, pickleball, spending time with family, traveling, and quilting when time permits. Whereas Ms. Barbara Mostella Oliver is an advisory board member on the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs for the City of South Fulton, District 4, a member of Alliance of Independent Authors, ALI, member of Worldwide Women Association, WWA, and Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, Incorporated. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Mayor and City Council of the City of South Fulton honors and recognizes Barbara Mostella Oliver for her many contributions and achievements as a woman trailblazer in the City of South Fulton. On behalf of over 108 residents that call the City of South Fulton home, the city hereby proclaimed Tuesday, March 26, 2024, Barbara Mostella Oliver Appreciation Day, and encourage all residents to extend gratitude for her remarkable service. Yeah, we got applause as well.
Oh, man. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Councilman Sebastian, Mayor, and all the other council for this honor. And I'm so grateful that I was able to be a part of trying to make this a city, and it's a great city as we see it today. I started writing because I'm a reader as well, and when I was reading, I was thinking that I can write just as well as anybody else that's a bestseller. So that's how I came up with the name, Who Would Have Thought? Who would have thought I could write a book? So that's how I came up with the series. So I'm so grateful today for this honor, and I hope that we, sometime in this city, will have a book festival, either in District 4 or the city. Thank you.
Thank you. This is yours.
The next proclamation is a proclamation recognizing Carlos Neal. Mayor Khalid.
Come on down. Mr. Otway, could you come there? We have someone that has a question. If you just keep your hand raised, we'll have someone come and address you. While Mr. Neal comes, how many of you all have seen this Freaknik documentary on Hulu? All right, you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's not just a salacious documentary. Many people are worried that they're going to see themselves or their moms or whatever on there. But how many people know that this was actually created by students in our AUC Center, because in the 70s and early 80s, Black college students didn't feel safe or celebrated going to Daytona and some of these other places. So they created this Black college weekend spring break for HBCU students that obviously morphed into much, much more. We're going to give you a little teaser of this documentary now. You ready?
Every generation has a moment where they come just to have some fun.
Atlanta is the mecca for Black people in America.
It has multiple historically Black colleges.
In the 80s,
we said, let's plan a picnic during spring break.
Let's call it Freaknik.
Freaknik was the greatest Black gathering in America.
It was like an entry point into the Black cultural experience.
To be able to be in the middle of the street, dancing, laughing, playing your music, it's a moment. The interstate, the highway, was a street party.
There wasn't even a word called twerking, it was called booty shaking.
There wasn't no social media, barely had internet.
During Freaknik, stars start coming in. You would see Tupac, Cookie Mob, Outkast, Usher Raymond.
And I'm having a ball out here.
I don't know what heaven looks like, but this seems like a version of it.
You was lit, okay?
The legacy of Freaknik is Black joy, Black self-determination,
Black love, Black excellence, Black enterprise.
We had no inclination to the depth we were creating.
Trust me, your mom and daddy got that.
All right, so that is on Hulu, and we are working on having a screening and discussion here. So good. Round of applause. All right, so whereas in the city of South Fulton, Georgia, it is duly appropriate to acknowledge the unsung work of South Fulton citizen Carlos Neal in reviving the Freaknik brand and all its positive cultural contributions to our community and the broader African diaspora. And whereas Carlos Neal's journey of marrying technology and entertainment began at Benjamin Mays High School, where he contributed to the City of Atlanta's technology office, continuing at Southern Polytechnic State University, now Kennesaw State, where he established the Tau Zeta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, illustrating his commitment to service to all. And whereas Carlos Neal, who has also had a heart for the marginalized and underrepresented, spearheaded his successful Rules of Engagement criminal justice town halls with transformative conversations around fatherhood, childhood trauma, and systemic racism, with such notable guests as Roland Martin, David Banner, and Rock Nation. And whereas Carlos Neal, a promoter of live entertainment and cultural education, revived and trademarked the Freaknik brand in 2019, protecting the brand's original intent as a socially conscious event celebrating and fundraising for HBCUs while educating the larger community to know your rights in police interactions, fight against sex trafficking, and more. And whereas under the leadership of Carlos Neal, the resurgence of Freaknik has led to peaceful events with over 30,000 participants, illustrating the appeal of fusing cultural expression and social activism, which attracted the attention of Hulu and led them to co-produce with this man, our City of South Fulton resident, their now top-rated documentary, Freaknik, The Wildest Party Never Told. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the city council of the City of South Fulton, the new American capital of the African diaspora, do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 26, 2024, as Carlos Neal Appreciation Day in the city of South Fulton, Georgia.
First of all, I just want to give praises to God for allowing me to be able to be raised in my community with such good role models and such good leaders, such as the fine ladies and gentlemen that's standing behind me. Such beautiful, lovely, friendly faces. And I also, definitely appreciate the fact that there are those in positions of power who do not abuse their power. They actually support and they understand and they know how to think outside of the box to actually give me a chance. People like Dr. James at Morris Brown College, who, when we first decided to move our Freaknik there, and we went on the news and said, we're both reuniting in our restoration efforts. People like Mr. Samuel Tompkins, who astute, business leader, part of the community, who said, hey, I believe in this young brother's vision of bringing Freaknik back in a way that was positive and impactful. Even members like current Mayor Khalid, who at the time was Councilman Khalid, who stood out and said, you know what, I could get behind this. Members like George Hawthorne, who was on the Spring Break Planning Committee for the City of Atlanta, and he was the chairman that made the recommendation to the City of Atlanta to end Freaknik, who came out and said, had it been done in this manner, I would have supported and voted differently. Members like Ron Green, the promoters who've been through it, Sharon Toomer, the original founders. This is not a story about just Carlos or one individual or a team of people, but this is a story about how a movement of like-minded people can make change, how a movement of like-minded people can vote certain people into power, how a movement of like-minded people can empower each other for something positive. Now, I feel appreciative at the fact that I'm able to now not only revive the brand, but to continually protect the brand with the trademark to prevent for those who do not have the same positive intention from tarnishing it. This today is one of my wildest dreams because I always wanted for the city that I grew up in to acknowledge Freaknik's impact on the culture, on the society, on people, and to use that power for goodwill moving forward. I'd like to thank my wife, who worked tirelessly while I was locked in the closet, literally, for months at a time, trying to plan this event, plan this festival, taking care of the household, taking care of my beautiful daughter, Zuri Neal, and those who actually support and believe in me. I'd like to thank Hulu and those in power for being able to begin to tell the story. There's so much more, so many more storylines that unfortunately we couldn't fit within an hour, but we look forward to being able to share that in upcoming projects. So thank you so much, and it's an honor.
Mr. Clerk, you will sound the next item.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, that brings us to Roman numeral 10, the consent agenda items 5 through 7.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. I will entertain that vote by a show of hands.
Court, that motion approved unanimously.
All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is alcohol license, rezonings, variance, and modification cases for motion and vote. First item is item 8, special use permit, short-term rental. U23-015 is application by Latrice Allen, requesting a special use permit to operate a short-term rental at 7545 Rivertown Road, located in District 4 in the AG1 zoning district. Staff and Planning Commission recommendation was approval.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
So may I move to approve this special use permit for the short-term rental at 7545 Riverton Road in District 4.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? And I think that you might be here to speak on that, but we have the discussion part at the previous meeting. We're just going to vote now. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, I'll take that vote by show of hands.
Record that motion approved unanimously.
All right, that has been approved. Congratulations. All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item, item 9, U23-016, application by Ernesto Williams requesting a special use permit to operate a short-term rental at 3480 Old Fairburn Road, located in District 2 in the AG1 zoning district. Staff and Planning Commission recommendation was approval.
I'd like to make a
Oh, go ahead, I'll entertain a motion.
motion to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. I'll take that vote by, is there any discussion? Seeing it here now, I'll take that vote by show of hands.
Record that motion approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item. And just for those of you all who do not know, who are coming up for these, we just vote. All of the discussion, all of the speaking for and against happens in the hearing before the meeting. That way we have time to address any issues or any concerns that we've had before the vote. So I don't want anyone to think that we're disregarding anyone who has an interest in the property, but we did have an entire hearing about all of these events before they ended up on our voting calendar. All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Brings us to item 10, alcohol license application. An applicant for 3805 Flat Shoals Road, LLC, doing business as Circle K, has applied for an alcohol license for the retail sale of beer and wine at 3805 Flat Shoals Road, Union City, Georgia, 30291. This is a new license at this location. It's located in District 5.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, I will take this vote by show of hands.
Record that motion approved unanimously.
All right, please sound the next item.
Brings us to agenda items. Item 11, procurement and contracts. The General Service Department requests approval to enter into an agreement with the Lichty Commercial Construction Incorporated to provide standby general contracting services at city facilities. The agreement is a piggyback of a cooperative agreement issued by Sourcewell, a state cooperative organization. The contract is for a total amount not exceeding $2 million with the option to renew it for 2 one-year terms.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve, as well as item 12, the General Services Department requests approval to amend T-SPLOS 2 resurfacing project contract between the City of South Fulton and ER Snell Contractor Incorporated for $2.5 million for parking, lot reconfigurations, paving, milling, patching, resurfacing, and striping for select parking lots, facilities throughout the city, as well as item 13, the General Services Department requests approval to enter into an agreement with Siemens Industry to provide and install EV charging stations at select facilities throughout the city. The agreement piggybacks on the cooperative agreement Siemens 04221 SIE issued by Sourcewell and state cooperative organization. The contract will be for a total amount not exceeding $500,000 with the option to renew it for 1-year terms, as well as item 14. The General Service Department requests approval for appropriation not to exceed $2 million to modernize, upgrade, and electrify the city's fleet. The department also requests authorization to purchase medium-duty, heavy-duty pickup trucks, transit vans, mid-size sedans, sport utility vehicles, dump trucks, utility trucks, and electric vehicles, including mid-size sedans, light-duty trucks, transit vans, sport utility vehicles, from vendors holding contracts with the state of Georgia, as well as item 15, the General Service Department requests approval to enter into an agreement with JOC Construction Incorporated to provide a general contractor services for facilities within the city for an amount not to exceed $2 million. The agreement is a piggyback of the state agreement with the State of Georgia contract number Georgia ST03040820LRI, as well as item 16. The General Services Department requests approval to enter into an agreement with Pariah Construction to provide standby general contracting services for facilities within the city. The agreement is a piggyback of the State of Georgia contract number 99999 SPD S202-00901-00020 for a total not exceeding $2 million and the option to renew for 2 one-year terms.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Discussion.